Welcome back to our video. Today we are back from our NFL video. Today talking about Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos and really what next year might have in store for Russ. Last year obviously was a less than stellar year for him, and it was very just all around a rough watch. I don't think anyone was very excited to just turn on and watch some Broncos games last year. So we're gonna look at this. Starting out with his stats from last year, and then we are going to get into the passing leaders for last year and where he kind of fell among them, and then talking about what we can expect next year from Russ, or I guess this coming year, is what I should say. So first off, let's zoom in here and look at his. Actually, no. Before I do that, let's look at his like what he finished with overall. So he had 3,524 yards, 16 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, with a 36.7 QBR. Didn't finish top 10 in anything. The closest he got was his yards, which was 13th. And other than that, he was basically, other than touchdowns, basically in the 20s and everything else. So, not a great year. Going game by game, I'm not going to actually go game by game, but I'm going to highlight some of the bigger ones. First was the opening game. It was Monday Night Football. It was against his old team, the Seahawks. They had Geno Smith. The Seahawks were supposed to be terrible last year. And it was pretty shocking, I feel like, to watch because, at first it's like, oh, the Seahawks, like they're competing with them. And, Jerry Jeudy gets a touchdown. It's like, okay, they're going to pull ahead. And they just never really did. And it was very strange to watch because of that. Wilson did go 29 for 42, 340 yards with one touchdown and 0 interceptions. So it wasn't necessarily a bad game at all. Just didn't come away with it. The offense wasn't as electric as everybody thought. And again, they win their next two games, and then it just gets really kind of rough from here on out because they start kind of sliding a little bit. Russ has a game against the Colts where he throws no touchdowns with 2 interceptions. And then they beat the Jaguars, and then after that, they basically lose out, other than the very last game. And there are some tough losses in there. I mean, the Panthers, as a Panthers fan, they weren't good, and that was the game Sam Darnold came in, and granted their defense did give up 23 points to the Carolina offense, and their defense was usually the strength of that team, but the offense only put up 10 points, only 10 points against the Panthers, so that wasn't ideal either. 10-9 against the Ravens there, which is just such a weird score, and it wasn't their only low-scoring game because to backtrack. Thursday Night Football against the Colts, 12-9. I mean, there's just some weird games in here. They lost 51-14 to the Rams. They nearly beat the Chiefs, honestly, and I believe that was the game Russ played well until I think he either got a concussion or something like that, or got a head injury and had to leave. I believe that was that game. I could be wrong though, but overall, it was a very shaky year, especially from an offense that had guys like Courtland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy. Javonte Williams did unfortunately get hurt. Greg Dulcich, I think is their tight end's name. I can never remember it, but he, another weapon for Russ. And then, Tim Patrick, before the season started, he tore his ACL. And they have, KJ Hamler. But they have, a lot of weapons to where it seems like, Russ would be able to really thrive, especially for, fantasy football purposes. And it just didn't happen. I think it went the complete opposite that everybody really saw. And then to go to the passing leaders here and see where Russ ended up. He was 13th behind Tua, Rodgers, Hurts, Lawrence. I'm not gonna go through all of them, but you guys can see that for yourself there. And it's not great. You fall next to Tua, who had a lot of injuries, and honestly, Tua should have been much higher up there. Daniel Jones had significantly less weapons than Russ, and he was right there with them at 3,200 yards. So he finished the season, like I said, 13th. And it's nothing to really write home about. I guess he could have done worse. I will say the last, I think, few weeks, whenever Hackett was fired, I believe it was the last two, I think. Russ did have, I think, 2 top 5 finishes in fantasy football, which again isn't real life, but it does show that he actually was putting up respectable stats to get fantasy football points, and he wasn't doing that with Nathaniel Hackett. So I think the hope is that with Hackett gone, Russ can really, I guess, kind of have the offense under his control. Maybe it was under his control. Maybe he just was very uncomfortable. Or maybe Hackett was just that bad and the play calling was terrible. I don't know. I think it was a mix of everything. Russ was definitely not his normal self, though. I mean, despite the coach and everything, he just did not look great at times. Watching a lot of the plays from last year, his best plays were when he kind of, scrambled out and threw on the run, that kind of stuff, and extended plays, what you expect him to do. but it didn't happen a whole lot. And otherwise, it was just sometimes his vision was terrible. That game we talked about against the Colts, I mean, he had a wide open touch on a KJ Hamler on a slant. And if you watch the play, it was designed for him too. The other guy on the inside sets like a basketball type screen basically on the corner, and then it just frees up the guy to run straight through to the middle of the field and catch it in the end zone. And Russ just didn't look at him, and he threw it. I believe it was to Cortland Sutton maybe, and it was in like, very tight coverage with Stephon Gilmore on him, knocked it down. That was the game. And it's just kind of mind-boggling to watch that because that's what you want. You want that play to be drawn up. So Russ doesn't deserve all the blame, but he does deserve some blame for sure. But after recapping last year, there are some exciting things to talk about going into this year. Now, before we go to the exciting things, I should say some not so exciting things. You do have Javonte Williams coming back, but it is off an ACL tear, and I don't know if he'll be ready for week 1. So I wouldn't expect a monster year out of him, but he should be, at least some sort of threat while he's on the field. You also have Tim Patrick coming back, who I believe should be okay for week 1 because I think he suffered his ACL tear back before the season started, so I think he's had more time to kind of rest up, recover, all that kind of stuff. He's a great weapon. He has great size. I really liked his season. I think the year prior, I think he had a very solid year, and I thought Russ would really help him. But yeah, we haven't got to see that yet. Of course, you still have Cortland Sutton. You still have Jerry Jeudy. But some of the exciting things. So I think, in my opinion, the biggest exciting thing is Samaje Perine coming from the Bengals. Now, maybe as a Broncos fan, you don't pay attention to Bengals football, so you don't know much about him or anything like that. But Perine actually had a phenomenal year for a backup running back on the Bengals. There were some games where he had like multiple touchdowns. I think one of those games came against the Chiefs, which the Bengals won while the season was going on. I think another one of his great games was against the Steelers, I believe. I think that was in Pittsburgh where he had like 2 or 3 like receiving touchdowns or something. He played absolutely incredible. So I think he's going to be able to prove as a pretty good pass catcher out of the backfield for Russ to just check it down and really just kind of rack up yards that way. Again, with Williams coming back, it's kind of a question mark how much the carries will be split. And honestly, I don't know the other Broncos running back, that third string. I assume they have him, but I'm not sure who that is. But Perine, I do think you should have a lot of faith in, and you should be pretty excited because he brings a lot of nice things to the table. He has good yards after contact, and he's a very tough runner to bring down. And I'd say the other exciting thing to talk about is Hackett's gone. You get a full offseason without Nathaniel Hackett. You have Russell Wilson, who I'm not sure if you guys have heard recently, has, I think, lost a little bit of weight. I think he's, like, leaner. And he actually, you can tell, just see a picture of him last year and now this year, his just entire, I guess, kind of build is just a bit thinner, but in a good way. I think more of an in-shape way, not like a sickly way, if that makes sense. So hopefully, he's back in the right mindset, new start, new coach. With Sean Payton, he's a proven head coach for sure, so there shouldn't be too many question marks around that. I think more of the question marks are around Russell Wilson, and if he's the guy, because I think everybody kind of accepts Sean Payton as a good coach, I feel like. But for Russell Wilson, he's got a lot to prove. He can bounce back from that, and I do think he will. Like I said, the guys that are coming back that are still on the team, he didn't really lose anything on offense. The only thing he really lost the most was a bad head coach, and other than that, Javonte Williams is definitely the biggest hit there. Hopefully Tim Patrick can bounce back well. But I think you should be excited about Russell Wilson and what he can do because those games without Hackett, I think he did show flashes of what you were expecting him to be in Denver. And I think an entire offseason to, regroup, like I said, and just really get back to it without Hackett, I think will give Russ a lot of confidence. I don't know the Broncos' schedule, but I guess I can just pull it up right now. You guys, put their schedule. They do open against the Raiders. That's going to be very interesting with Garoppolo coming over there. So kind of 2 quarterbacks who I would say both need to really establish themselves. That should be exciting. You follow that up next week. You go to Washington. Nope, sorry. I guess you are at home against Washington. And you go against Sam Howell, who I assume will be starting for them. Again, very interesting. Overall, though, looking at this, the toughest games they kind of have are their divisional games because you're in the same division as the Chiefs and the Chargers. So it's not going to be an easy year for them, sadly, because of the competition they are around. So they really need to make the most out of their out-of-divisional games. Just looking at this briefly, I mean, you got to beat the Texans. You got to beat the Browns. You got to beat the Vikings. You got to beat, I want to say Packers, but that might be a tough one. And the Vikings, the only reason I didn't say that'd be a tough one is because the Vikings defense is not very good. So you'd think if Russ can bounce back, the offense should be able to take advantage of the Vikings' poor defense. Then other than that, Patriots defense is great, but that'll probably be a very low-scoring game, it seems like. So I don't know. You got an interesting schedule ahead of you. It's not going to be easy, but I think at this point, people just want to see anything but what they did last year. You don't have to go to the Super Bowl, but just look like the trade was somewhat worth it, because right now it looks like the Broncos got absolutely fleeced by the Seahawks. But guys, that's going to do it for the video. Be sure to comment down below if you think Russell Wilson will bounce back from this, or if he really is just officially washed and it's very close for him just to kind of, call it a career. It's been a great career for him. Hopefully he still has some more left in the tank. I believe he does. But if you guys disagree, be sure to let me know down below. Thank you guys for watching. I do Madden and NFL content. So if you, like Madden as well, I do gameplays over there on Ultimate Team. I do pack openings. I do Panthers Theme Team series and all that kind of stuff. And then for NFL, we are doing these player videos at least once per team all summer long. We also do NFL tier list videos and NFL quiz videos. And we also are going to be doing, whenever we're done with the player series, individual team videos talking about the entire team and predicting their record for the 2023 season. So thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.